Beneath the quiet streets of Rockwall, Texas, lies a buried enigma that has defied explanation for over a century, a vast, orderly wall of stone stretching beneath the earth like the remnants of a forgotten city. The perfectly aligned sandstone blocks, some resembling doorways and arches, hint at a design too deliberate to be the work of blind geology. Whispers persist of a prehistoric civilization that may have carved or shaped these stones long before recorded history, their purpose lost in the layers of time. The city of Rockwall takes its name from this formation, a buried stretch of hard mineral stones that eerily resembles a man-made wall. First uncovered by early settlers in the 1850s, the rock wall immediately sparked curiosity and speculation about its origin. Ever since, a debate has unfolded between those who see it as an ancient human construction and those who view it as an odd quirk of geology. The formation has been well documented in at least 11 different locations surrounding and below the city of Rockwall. As more of the wall is uncovered, the deeper the mystery grows, tempting the imagination with the possibility that this unassuming town rests atop the ruins of something far older and far stranger than anyone dares to admit. These photos show the rock wall during two different excavations. The smaller photo was taken in 2012 and shows the wall extends at least 15 feet deep into the ground. The larger photo is from the Stodkill farm property excavation. In front of the Rockwall County Historical Foundation, rocks from the actual rock wall are on display. These particular rocks came from the Stodkill farm and have been placed exactly how they were originally found. The rock wall is composed of pale sandstone slabs that appear stacked in courses, much like bricks in a masonry wall. In some places, the formation has been measured to extend dozens of feet deep, comparable to a 7-story building hidden underground. Various segments of this wall-like rock have been found across an area of roughly 20 square miles, hinting at a potentially massive structure beneath the soil. Observers have noted the striking regularity of the stone blocks and the thin, mortar-like seams of clay separating them, features that make it easy to imagine it as a deliberately engineered work. The formation made such an impression on early settlers that they set aside their personal ambitions to name the new settlement after the unusual rock wall in the ground. As the community of Rockwall grew, the buried wall became local legend and a point of pride, fueling stories that the town sat atop the ruins of a prehistoric fortress. 19th-century farmers would sometimes strike the stone formation while plowing fields or digging wells, each encounter adding to the mystique of a vast, hidden structure beneath their feet. With each new exposure of the stone alignment, imaginations ran wild over who or what might have built such a wall long before Texans ever arrived. A portion of the subterranean rock wall is also displayed in front of the Rockwall Courthouse. The reconstruction is exactly as the wall was assembled, although the mortar was not part of the original wall. By the late 1800s, fantastical tales emerged, attempting to explain the rock wall's presence, the most famous involving the discovery of a giant's remains. In 1886, a local newspaper excited readers with a report that a farmer had unearthed a human skull of enormous size, supposedly evidence that giants once roamed the area. Strangely, everything connected to the discovery was confiscated by the Smithsonian Institution, and the findings disappeared. Among the more puzzling discoveries linked to the Rockwall formation is a metallic disc reportedly unearthed by early well diggers in the 1850s, embedded directly into the stone itself. Later geological explanations dismissed it as a natural iron concretion, but the disc's symmetrical appearance and the context of its location continued to fuel speculation. Adding to the intrigue are metallic inclusions found in several of the sandstone blocks, thin, vein-like streaks or embedded fragments of what appears to be oxidized metal. These features, while possibly explained by mineral seepage or natural iron deposits, lend an unsettling impression of deliberate craftsmanship, suggesting that the wall may conceal more than just geological oddities. Another strange discovery found near the wall was a stone figure, which many believe is an ancient artifact of a carved serpent's head. Others say it's natural, a fossilized snout of a prehistoric animal, or simply a natural rock. Alignment with celestial events adds further intrigue. Observers have noted that sections of the wall appear to run east to west, coinciding with the path of the sun. Ancient cultures across the globe oriented monuments according to solstices and equinoxes, using architecture as a calendar and ceremonial tool. If the rock wall was intentionally aligned in this way, it would strongly suggest human involvement guided by astronomical knowledge. The reluctance to fully investigate the rock wall also raises questions. Excavations have often been halted, backfilled, or left unpublished, citing practical concerns such as land ownership and development. After all, the town's residents would have to lose their land and homes if the wall is officially recognized as an archaeological site requiring excavation. The limestone composition of the wall adds another layer to the mystery. Limestone has been a favored building material throughout human history due to its relative softness and workability when freshly quarried. From ancient temples to medieval fortifications, civilizations across the world exploited this stone to create enduring structures. The fact that the Rockwall formation consists of limestone naturally invites comparison to known prehistoric and ancient building traditions. Perhaps most intriguing is the reported layout of the structure itself. Based on mapped outcroppings and excavation data, the wall appears to trace a roughly rectangular shape spanning several miles in length and width. Estimates suggest it encloses an area approaching 19 square miles, a scale that rivals known ancient cities and ceremonial complexes. If accurate, such dimensions would imply a massive coordinated effort, achievable only by a highly advanced civilization. North America's prehistory is far older and more complex than once believed, with evidence of human habitation stretching back at least 15,000 years. While mainstream archaeology recognizes hunter-gatherer societies and later mound-building cultures, it largely rejects the idea of large-scale stone architecture predating known civilizations. The Rockwall challenges that assumption by presenting something that looks monumental, permanent, and purposeful. Another line of speculation reaches deeper into prehistory, envisioning a forgotten civilization that flourished during a period of stable climate long before recorded history. Geological evidence confirms that North America experienced dramatic environmental changes over tens of thousands of years. A society that existed prior to the end of the last ice age could have built durable stone structures, only to be wiped out by catastrophic floods, climate shifts, or gradual collapse. Over time, sediment would bury their cities, leaving behind enigmatic remnants like the Rockwall. Geologist Robert Hill identified it as a series of sandstone dikes, vertical sheets of sediment that filled ancient cracks in the earth, a conclusion echoed by others in subsequent years. Researchers from the United States Geological Survey and the Smithsonian, who inspected sections of the wall in the early 20th century, likewise reported that the feature was due to disconnected sandstone veins rather than human-built masonry. However, not everyone in those early decades agreed with the geologists. In 1925, archaeologist Count Byron de Prorock examined an exposed section and became convinced that it was a prehistoric man-made edifice, directly contradicting the geological surveys. In 1979, a geologist from the University of Texas at Arlington named Kenneth Shar led a study that uncovered two sections of the wall and scrutinized their properties. Shar concluded that both sections he examined were naturally formed sandstone, yet he notably left room for uncertainty by acknowledging that while those parts were natural, it was still conceivable that another unexamined portion of the wall might be man-made after all. On the other side of the debate, voices continued to champion the possibility of an artificial origin, preventing the mystery from being conclusively laid to rest. In 1996, an architect named John Lindsay conducted his own extensive study of the rock wall, bringing a designer's perspective to the stone's layout. Lindsay was impressed by the structural qualities of the formation and argued that evidence was mounting toward it being a prehistoric structure engineered by human hands. His conclusion breathed new life into the man-made hypothesis, suggesting that perhaps archaeologists and architects might notice clues in the rocks that geologists had overlooked. If the rock wall truly were man-made, it would raise profound questions for archaeologists and historians. An edifice that large would likely have been part of a substantial settlement, requiring us to ask who those builders were, when they lived, and why no clear record of them has surfaced elsewhere. No obvious artifacts, tools, or cultural remains have been documented in direct association with the wall that would definitively point to a human construction, which is one reason mainstream science remains skeptical. Large engineered stoneworks usually leave behind some additional traces, pottery, carvings, bones, or other debris. Yet so far this wall stands mostly mute, offering tantalizing hints but nothing that conclusively proves an ancient society built it. Advocates for the man-made theory often counter that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, especially if the structure is extremely ancient or the builders were few in number. They point to cases like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, where megalithic stone structures from an unexpectedly early date were discovered, upending assumptions about the capabilities of people in that era. If an unknown group constructed the Rockwall formation, it might have been in deep antiquity, possibly before the last ice age or in a period from which few other traces survive. Imagining the Rockwall as part of a lost civilization does not require abandoning scientific rigor. It requires acknowledging that our understanding of the past is incomplete and subject to revision. Prehistory spans tens of thousands of years, while recorded history covers only a fraction of that time. Entire cultures could rise and fall without leaving obvious traces, especially if later populations repurposed or destroyed their remains. If such a civilization existed in what is now Texas, it may have thrived along ancient waterways, exploiting fertile land and abundant resources. The wall could have served as a defensive barrier, ceremonial boundary, or infrastructural element within a larger urban plan. Over millennia, floods, sedimentation, and human activity would bury the evidence, leaving only fragments to puzzle future generations. Today, the rock wall lies hidden once more, its stones silent beneath the surface. Official explanations label it a rare geological formation, remarkable but ultimately mundane. Yet the persistence of architectural features and historical testimony keeps alternative interpretations alive. The wall continues to invite curiosity, skepticism, and imagination in equal measure. Long before recorded history, there were advanced ancient civilizations capable of building gigantic megalithic structures we can't build today. Lifting enormous stone blocks weighing thousands of tons and stacking them with laser-like precision. Blocks we still struggle to lift even with our modern cranes. They crafted mathematically precise, flawless monuments from the hardest stone on Earth, leaving us to wonder who these builders were and how they accomplished the impossible. Were they merely primitive societies, or were they masters of a forgotten technology lost to the sands of time? Uncover the evidence of an ancient, global, and technologically sophisticated civilization that once ruled over our planet, constructing gigantic sites the ruins of which are still standing before a cataclysmic event erased it from memory. Access our ebook, Prehistoric Megastructures, a nearly 500-page volume packed with images and in-depth analysis of some of the most astonishing and unexplained ancient structures ever discovered, monuments that were clearly built with advanced technology from a time long forgotten. There's a limited discount on the ebook, so make sure to get yours before it's too late.